he killed my sister. He killed my sister. Her ex, he had just got out. He was out on tether torturing her, and they let him out of jail. He need to go to hell, burn in hell.
Handsome black man. Hey, Daddy.
Hey, big kid.
How can someone be so cruel as to take the life of another? How does a person become capable of such unimaginable violence against those they claim to love? And how does a system designed to protect its citizens fail so catastrophically? These questions linger like shadows in the tragic case of Zlayiah Frazier, a young mother whose bright future was stolen by someone she once trusted. Welcome to True Crime Files Edition, where we explore the stories that demand to be told. Today, we delve into the life, love, and tragic death of Zlayiah Frazier, a case that will leave you questioning the very fabric of justice. Born on March 8, 2000, Zlayiah Frazier was described by friends and family as a beacon of positivity and determination. Growing up in Michigan, she was the kind of person who could light up any room she entered. Those who knew her well called her the life of the party. But Zlayiah wasn't just fun and outgoing, she was also driven. She had a dream of building something meaningful for herself and her loved ones, and that dream materialized in the form of her own boutique, Snobbish. The boutique wasn't just a business, it was her passion, her way of connecting with others and spreading beauty and joy. In addition to running her boutique, Zlayiah was studying to become a nurse. Her decision to pursue nursing was deeply personal, inspired by her brother's battle with cancer and her sister's journey with cerebral palsy. These experiences fueled her determination to make a difference in the lives of others. In 2021, Zlayiah experienced one of the happiest moments of her life. She became a mother to a beautiful baby boy. While she secretly longed for a girl, her son was her world, her reason for everything. Jonathan, the child's father, on the other hand, was overjoyed to have a son.
Yeah, he get to carry on this greatness.
We have our boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to. Another victory for Big Dog. Big Dog doing it. Another victory for Dog. Yeah. Yeah.
On social media, Zlayiah frequently shared pictures and heartfelt messages celebrating her son's milestones. Friends would comment on how natural and loving she was as a mother. Despite her youth, Zlayiah was fiercely dedicated to providing her child with the best life possible. But behind the smiles and success, Zlayiah was quietly battling a dark and abusive relationship with the father of her child, Jonathan Welch. The two had been together since their teenage years, and on the surface, they seemed like a picture-perfect couple. They shared photos of family outings, birthdays, and celebrations. To the outside world, their relationship was aspirational, young love that had grown into something lasting. However, appearances can be deceiving. Family members later revealed that Jonathan had a long history of abusive behavior towards Zlayiah. Her mother, Trina Harris, had tried for years to separate her daughter from him. Trina described the helplessness she felt as she watched her daughter endure cycles of control, manipulation, and violence. But as with many relationships, leaving wasn't simple. Jonathan had a dangerous hold over Zlayiah, and she often kept her suffering hidden from those around her. The true extent of Jonathan's violence became horrifyingly clear on June 2, 2022. It was around 3 a.m. when Jonathan returned to the home he shared with Zlayiah. Instead of slipping into bed beside her, he chose to wake her from her sleep, demanding the passcode to her phone. When Zlayiah refused, Jonathan's anger exploded into terrifying violence. Grabbing an extension cord, Jonathan wrapped it tightly around Zlayiah's neck, strangling her. But that wasn't enough. He poured gasoline over her body, burned her with a hot spatula, and threatened her with even worse. During the course of his attack, which lasted around 4 hours, he also beat her with a belt and threatened her with a drill, adding to the unimaginable terror she endured. It's hard to imagine the fear and pain Zeleya must have felt in those moments. At one point, Jonathan even attempted to her with a metal pole. In a desperate bid to save herself, Zeleya managed to escape the house and run to a neighbor's home. Naked and severely injured, her body was covered in burns, cuts, and bruises. When she reached the neighbor's door, she pleaded for help. The neighbor, horrified by her condition, let her inside and immediately called 911. Even then, Jonathan didn't stop. He returned to the neighbor's house, kicking in the door and attempting to reach Zeleya. But before he could do more harm, he fled the scene. Hours later, police arrested him and charged him with multiple felonies, including torture and with intent to commit murder. For many, Jonathan's arrest seemed like a turning point. Surely someone capable of such horrific violence would remain behind bars, where he couldn't hurt anyone else. But what happened next left Zeleya's family and friends in disbelief. Despite the severity of his charges, Jonathan was granted bond. The amount was set at $100,000, which required only $10,000 to secure his release. His mother, Flossie Bray, provided the money, allowing him to leave jail and return to her home with a GPS tether. For prosecutors and Zeleya's loved ones, this decision felt like a betrayal. They knew Jonathan was dangerous, and now he was free to continue his reign of terror. Less than a month after his release, Jonathan Welch committed an act of violence so horrific that it shocked even those who thought they had seen the worst of him. Unbeknownst to Zeleya, Jonathan had been released on bond. Allegedly, Jonathan's mother had called Zeleya and asked her to come over, claiming she wanted to spend some time with her grandson and assuring her that Jonathan was not there. Trusting her, Zeleya agreed, unaware of the dangers she was walking into. On July 10, 2022, Harper Woods police were called to a home where Jonathan was reportedly holding his mother hostage. Inside the house were Zeleya, their 1-year-old son, and Jonathan's stepfather, Robert Bray Jr. Jonathan's violent outburst began with his mother, whom he stabbed repeatedly with a butcher knife. Despite her injuries, Jonathan's mother somehow managed to escape the house and run to a neighbor's home, where she begged them to call the police. She still had the knife lodged in her back when officers arrived and was rushed to the hospital for treatment.
Caller stated that someone there is holding her hostage. She was trying to explain the situation, and then a lot of screaming started, and the phone disconnected.
A woman held hostage, and we are told that young man was on a stabbing spree. The young man's mother making it out of the home and into Ruth Tabone's home right across the street.
I told her, I was like, what happened? She says, I was stabbed. I'm like, what? So then she started to collapse, so I helped her down, and I had to keep her up, because at that point, I see the knife is still on her back.
Meanwhile, Jonathan turned his rage on Zeleya and Robert. In front of their child, Jonathan brutally beat and stabbed Zeleya before shooting her. Robert was beaten to death. Amid the chaos, Jonathan threw his naked son out of a first-floor window, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. Jonathan then set the house on fire, creating a chaotic and horrifying scene.
The home was then set on fire. Neighbors knew the young man had a baby and watched as he dropped that baby out of a window.
Like, he leaned out the window and dropped the baby on the grass.
Because he was going back in to do stuff?
Yeah, and the baby was naked. While the house was on fire. This all was happening while the house was on fire.
You can see how carefully Harper Woods police and fire had to operate to put the fire out and then urge the 23-year-old to surrender. Once he did, police making the awful discovery. The bodies of the young man's father and girlfriend were found in the home.
But I never would have thought that this would have occurred.
1 week ago, this shocking scene played out across the street from Jeff Wolf's Harper Woods home. Video showing 23-year-old Jonathan Welch surrendering to police after prosecutors say Welch, his longtime girlfriend Zlayiah Frazier, his stepfather Robert Bray, setting his mother's home on fire and shooting at police. Also, Welch's own mother was stabbed in her back during the attack. Police now confirming tonight that mother, Flossie Nicole Bray, has died from her injuries.
It's just a tragedy. Really, that's all that can really be said about it. I think everybody in the neighborhood was pulling for Flossie to make it and hoping that that would be at least one salvageable element of this situation, so it's very tragic.
All this taking place after Welch was arrested and charged in June with torturing and Frazier, but a 36th district court magistrate gave Welch a $10,000 bond. Welch's mother bonding her son out. Hours later, police say Welch attacked her, Frazier, and his stepdad.
Everybody's just shocked about it, dismayed that this all could have been prevented.
Zeleya's death left a devastating void in the lives of her family and friends. Her 1-year-old son, now orphaned, survived the ordeal, but his future remains uncertain. For Zeleya's loved ones, the pain of her loss is compounded by the knowledge that it could have been prevented. Had Jonathan been kept in custody after his initial arrest, Zeleya might still be alive today. The tragic events of July 10th spread through Michigan like wildfire, igniting outrage across the state. Many were furious that Jonathan Welch had been granted such a low bond despite the severity of his earlier offenses. Judge Dawn White of the 36th District Court, who approved the bond, faced widespread criticism, with many holding her partly responsible for Zeleya's death, claiming the justice system had failed to protect her.
In mid-June, Welch was charged with several felonies, including torture. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office says Welch viciously attacked and his ex-girlfriend. Prosecutors then say 36th District Court Magistrate Dawn White set Welch's bond at $100,000, 10% cash surety. After posting the $10,000 bond, Welch walked out of jail on Friday. By Sunday,
and they let him out of jail, and he my sister. My sister. They should never let him out of prison. I don't have nothing to say.
Because he wasn't incarcerated, she is now dead. His father's now dead. His mother's in a hospital bed, and he's got a baby out there. They'll, in most likelihood, never see his father again, and I'll never have a chance to know the baby's mother.
Attorney James Gallen Jr. says one purpose of bond is to protect the public.
The allegations are one of the things they take into consideration. There's a number of factors that are supposed to be taken into consideration when a judge or magistrate setting a bond.
Regarding the bond initially set by the magistrate,
I do believe it was too low. 23 years old, a time bomb. And I'm not saying that the magistrate or judge could have predicted that, but with the charges and the nature of the charges, it should have been apparent that society needed big protection.
We reached out to Magistrate White and we'll let you know when we hear back. Meanwhile, Brianna says the system failed her sister.
It's broken. It's definitely broken. They should never let him out.
Her mistake cost my sister her life, and that hurts. There's nothing that could bring my sister back. There's nothing that somebody can say, no apology that's going to bring my sister back. That hurts.
She was a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul, very courageous, very outgoing.
In November 2023, Jonathan Welch was sentenced to 45 to 70 years in prison for the murders of Zlayiah Robert Bray Jr. and his mother. He was also convicted of killing another young woman, Natalia Morse, whom he brutally beat to death just weeks before attacking Zeleya. During sentencing, both Natalia and Zeleya's mothers addressed Jonathan directly.
Driven, she was smart, beautiful. I wonder why. You're sick. I hope you ride. I hope you ride in jail for the rest of your life.
Jonathan Welch sat almost expressionless, hearing the absolutely devastating pain the family of the people he murdered cannot escape because of his malicious actions to take the lives of multiple people.
Why? Just why do that to my big sister that I love so much? You even have a soul, Jonathan? Do you? Do you know what you did to your own mother?
Prosecutors say in the summer of 2022, 24-year-old Natalia Morse was found dead. Welch accused of killing her. Welch was then charged with torturing and sexting his ex-girlfriend, Zlayiah Frazier. After posting bond, he walked out of jail. Then just days later, investigators say he barricaded himself in his mom's home, eventually killing his ex-girlfriend, his stepdad, and his own mother.
My daughter, Zeleya Frazier, lived to tell me the horrible things he did to her. He treated her like she was nothing but trash. 39 days later, my daughter Zala was dead. I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years, yet I failed.
Zeleya Frazier's story is one of love, strength, and heartbreak. She was a bright light extinguished too soon, but her memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her. As her family reminds us, is not love.
And I want all of y'all young folks to know, this is not love.
Some people are afraid of being judged and everything, but your loved ones, they're not going to judge you. You know, we're here to help. Everyone's here to help. Everyone wish they could have helped my sister.
Let's go!
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic, please reach out for help. There is support and there is hope. Our hearts go out to Zeleya's family and loved ones during this unimaginably difficult time. While words cannot fully capture the depth of your pain, we honor Zeleya's life, her memory, and the profound love she shared with the world. May her legacy bring you strength and comfort as you navigate the path ahead. What are your thoughts on this tragic case? Do you think the justice system failed Zeleya and her family? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this episode of True Crime Files Edition. Please like, share, and subscribe as we continue to share these important stories. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.